with that. So I am here with the wonderful Lindsay Marder, who many of you will know from her time as, what was it, editorial director?
Managing editor.
Managing editor at Digital Marketer. And Lindsay has produced so much content over the course of her career, but also advised a lot of really awesome companies on how to produce their content. And so today we are going to riff a little bit about what's working at the moment in the wide world of content marketing and some of the stuff that she's seeing working, the stuff that she's been thinking about. So Lindsay, thank you for chatting with me.
Of course, I'm
I'm
so
very
excited.
I heard that you did a really amazing presentation at Traffic and Conversion Summit this year, and I would like to hear about how you're thinking about people are creating content throughout the customer journey, which is a multi-stage thing, which we can maybe explore a little bit as well, but how they're creating content that's not just about blogging and why this is an exciting time to be branching out a little bit.
Yeah, this is a great time for people to really change up their content marketing strategy because the biggest myth that has been around for so long that has prevented people from doing good content is that they need to have a blog to do content marketing. And that is 100% not true. If you don't have a blog, you can still, you can do very amazing content marketing. A blog is a huge commitment. If you don't have the resources for it, if you're a one-man band or you're just getting off the ground, then you should not have a blog. If you're not going to tend to your blog and publish consistently, I don't mean frequently, I just mean consistently, then you shouldn't have a blog because you can still create content without one. And I think another part where people get hung up on when I've taught this about doing content without a blog is the question is always, well, then where do I put my content? And I love that question because I love that people are thinking the right way. They're thinking of their websites as very structural beings that need to have things in the right places. So that's awesome. But the answer is that you can put content anywhere on your site. You just need to give it a link, a URL, and then direct people to it. So good content marketing can be done if you think about it the right way. And the right way to think about it for current times to really compete with bigger brands and compete with your own competition is that content is a vehicle and traffic is your road. And so if your road is going through the entire customer journey, you can use content at any point in any stage as a buffer, as a stopgap between what you want them to do. Any step that you want your customer, your prospect, your audience to take can be facilitated with content. Okay. It doesn't have to just be for organic traffic. It doesn't have to just be for existing customers. Anything you want a person to do within your business can be done with content.
Okay, so talk me through that customer journey just for people who maybe don't understand or like haven't heard that concept before.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a few different stages, and the first ones I believe are activate, engage, and subscribe. Mm-hmm. And so this is where most people enter into the realization that your business exists and that you may have something that they want. And so that awareness stage can be through a blog, can be through a podcast, can be through an ad, it can be through an Instagram post. It's just how someone becomes aware that you exist. And a lot of people have thought for the longest time that this means a blog post or something of that nature, and it doesn't have to be. Anywhere that you can put yourself in front of your prospect is where you want to be, especially for a lot of e-commerce businesses. E-commerce is such a visual dynamic that you have to be where people can see your product. And so for a lot of e-commerce people, you can buy ads, but another great strategy to present content to where your audience is hanging out is Instagram. And you can't publish blog posts on Instagram. Instagram still really wants to keep people on their page. So if you do want to take them off Instagram, you have to say the link in bio and that kind of thing, or swipe up. Whereas you can just cut out so many steps of that process by posting a really cool picture of your product or something else relevant, and then writing your caption to say everything you needed to say, and then having a really good hashtag strategy. So knowing which hashtags your audience are searching for, that kind of thing, what they're clicking on, what they're looking at, and then they can become aware of you because they find you through a hashtag strategy, or they find you because you tagged yourself at a certain location. So it really comes down to making people aware of you by knowing who your customer is, your ideal customer, where they're hanging out, and that means platform, that means places in the world, that means what they're searching for. So you have to really know your customer to get them to be aware of you if you don't want to just spend tons of money on traffic. And even if you do want to spend tons of money on traffic, if you don't know your customer, your targeting is going to be off, all of these things, and you won't make them aware of you. And then they go into the subscribe phase, and that's when you're trying to get an email address or trying to get them to make some sort of transaction with you that's either free or low dollar, so that they can start to become more aware of what you sell. You can offer them things, pitch them, and then you want to engage them, and you're trying to take them into the part where they exchange something monetarily with you. Because once they exchange money, it's a whole new ball game, and you can sell to them over and over again. And from there, it really doesn't matter what the names of the stages are. You're trying to take them from beginning customer to, I love this person's products, I'm an advocate for their products, I tell people about their products, and now I'm a raving fan of their products, and I'll never go to their competition or look for another distributor ever again.
Right.
Yeah. So anything in there can be done with content.
Okay. So talk me through, I feel like people are going to be like, but if not a blog, then what? I mean, obviously there are a lot of answers to that question, and most people, I'm sure, have a reasonable sense of what some of those options are. But what are some of the kind of key other types of content that people should be thinking about?
Yeah. If not a blog, you can do video. Posting videos on Instagram or other social platforms, going live on Facebook, doing podcasts. So you can speak on other people's podcasts and then share that with your audience, run traffic to that, get people aware of it. If not a blog, I think also good alternatives are pre-sale articles or SEO magnets. So pre-sale articles are short, very, very, very short articles that the top part of them is value. You tell people 7 ways to do something, a tip list, information that they need, and then you go into, but what you're really doing is trying to make them aware of a problem they have. And so at the end of the top of that article, which is super short, they're saying, they're now aware of their problem and saying, well, how do I get the solution? And then you go into the pitch for what you sell. And it's kind of it's sales lettery. It's blog post right on top of sales letter. But that's really good for cold traffic because the way you're measuring that is not conversion. It's, did you open their mind up to a buying mindset? So you're still measuring it the way normal blog content would be, which is not about conversions, but about how long did people stay on the page? Did they click your CTAs? Did they scroll to the bottom? Did they share it? Did they engage with it in some way? Okay. The other one, an SEO magnet, that is definitely a commitment, but it could also end up being the only content strategy, like written copy content, that a business could need. And it's essentially a bunch of pillar posts strung together to look like chapters in a book. Okay. So you're taking one topic, for example, working with Optimized Press. They have a WordPress plugin for building landing pages, funnels, memberships, that kind of thing. They're usually found by WordPress users that are just getting started in business and want to know how to build landing pages. So for an SEO magnet that we're building for them, we're going after the most targeted keyword, and that is search the most, what is a landing page? Mm-hmm. And so they're creating an SEO magnet called The Ultimate Guide to Landing Pages. And it'll have, I think, 9 chapters in it. that goes over the different things people are searching. So what is a landing page? How do you build a landing page design elements, landing page copy, landing page optimization, landing page analytics. So they'll build this thing, and then it is a huge, huge organic search attractor because you're deliberately going after what people are searching for. And then this will allow their team, once this is set up, CTAs are put in it, their team will be able to focus on driving traffic to this landing page and generating new customers and leads that way, and then opens up time for their team to go focus on other parts of the business that really need their attention instead of running on a content hamster wheel.
Sure. So both of those sort of are right at that beginning stage of the customer journey, and they're more designed to kind of just make people aware of the brand, aware of their problem, aware that there's a solution, and sort of start building that trust through like providing all of that value right up front.
Yeah. And it's meant to, like you said, provide all that value and establish the brand as an authority.
Okay. Sure.
And so
I really like what you said as well about the SEO magnet getting people off the content hamster wheel, because I think that this is a huge problem that people have been running into. Is like, I have been producing stuff every week for a year, and it's
not doing anything.
Exactly. It's not doing anything. Partly because it's maybe not been as strategic as it could have been, but also just because like they're shorter pieces and whatever, and you sort of constantly having to keep churning new ideas out. Whereas if you have an SEO magnet and you're just like, cool, that's the only written content that I'm going to produce this quarter. Like once that's done, I'm going to go and do something else.
And so the way you just said this quarter, so they produce it this quarter, and then what they can put on their calendar for next quarter is to update it.
Right.
Because think of how quickly things change in this space, in digital marketing, in the internet. Things change so quickly. So if they put on their schedule every quarter to update that, first of all, Google loves people that take care of their toys. And so taking words out, adding new words in, adding new images in, taking outdated images out, packing that thing with new examples, and then sending it to the list as updated. We've updated these things. What you're going to do is get people on your list who haven't seen it yet, who are now curious because you just said you updated this thing. You're going to get new people in, because when you send a bunch of traffic to a piece of content that's already exists like that, it's kind of like bees swarming around something, and it gives Google a new reason to crawl your page and see what's new. Whereas in the normal world, Google has millions and millions and millions of pages to crawl. It has no reason to come crawl your site for something it's already crawled before. So you want to give it a reason. And then when you have it recrawl it and it can see that you've tended to your content, you get boosted in the rankings. And it gives you more authority, because most of the time what people do is they publish content and then never touch it again.
Right.
And that's just totally wrong. And what I would say to someone, if actually, I mentioned I was doing a content marketing course, and one of the exercises I've gone through while trying to think of who I'm selling to is answering a pain point. And I think what I chose for my avatar as what their pain point is it's someone saying, all these gurus have told me I need content for my business, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know what good content looks like, and I don't know how to measure its success. And so I always hear this part of, I'm told I need to create content. And I wish people would stop saying that.
Sorry.
I wish people would stop being told you have to create content, because it's so vague and it's so broad and it's so not strategic. And it puts people on the hamster wheel of saying, I need to create a piece of content every single week because someone much more successful than I am told me to. But we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. A lot of these businesses and these influencers and stuff that tell people you should be creating content every week, they don't tell them how many pieces of content of theirs has failed, how many have are graveyards. They don't say what goes into searching for what the right piece of content is, how to make it a winner, those kinds of things. And I think a lot of people then just think they're supposed to be doing this thing, and because they don't know the intention of it, they don't know how to measure it, they constantly see it as something failing in their eyes.
Right. So what are some of the, I'm going to come back to
Yeah.
revamping your content. I'm just going to make a note here. What are some of the other types of content that work well at the middle and later stages of that customer journey?
Yes. So in the middle is kind of like where we're looking at lead magnets. So we're looking at guides, we're looking at videos, how to demos, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it'll depend on what you want to do. So at this point, if you've taken someone that has now become a customer and for a very low dollar offer and you want to ascend them to becoming a higher ticket buyer or a repeated buyer, think about you as a person and what you would need to take that next step. And so this is where I like to say you don't need a blog because this can be entirely done over email. You can keep your customer in an email, no links clicked, nothing like that, and just give them all the information they need on how to have the best experience with you. So if you're selling a planner, once they purchase the planner, a lot of people would just assume, okay, that's it. They're the customer. They've purchased this. I'm going to let them do it. People know how to use their planners. That's the wrong assumption to make because we're all human. And how often do we just drop our planners? Because if it's not made into a habit, then it's just something that we had the best intentions with, but we let go. Instead, if you can figure out that 2 weeks after they get your planner, that you can send them an email that says, here's how to use this planner the right way. And you can teach them your method. You're doing two things. You're reminding them to use your product and you're you're helping them elevate their status because you're telling them how to do it the right way, your way. And then the third bonus there is that you're getting them to consume your product. And that's what you want. You want people to consume your product. So that can be done over email. In just a few emails, one after another, never taking them off the page because you want to make it as seamless as possible for them to consume your content. And then what more you can do is target them with specific videos. I love this, and what's really working for brands is people who are willing to invest in advertising that doesn't have an immediate ROI.
Mm-hmm.
So targeting your customers with videos saying, hey, it's me. You got the planner 3 weeks ago. How are you liking it? I'd love to hear about it. Comment below because you're also going to get a lot of engagement on those if you ask questions.
Heaps of social proof.
Yes. To ask questions, you'll get reviews. Reviews are another great way to deliver content. Sending someone something that says 5 ways our customers are using this product, sharing social proof. Like I love to tell people to not reinvent the wheel when they're creating content. Use content that other people have created for them.
Right.
I don't know why people don't I don't know why more people aren't like, yeah, I'm going to use their stuff, but that's a great way to do it. Another piece that you can create, if not blogging, is to curate content.
Mm-hmm.
You're really, really great at this. And I love that you give this, you curate so much spot on content for your Facebook group, showing them. I saw today you posted the Seth Godin piece about why you should write a book. Yes, it's amazing. And what's so great is that you didn't, what most people would make the mistake of is listening to his podcast and listening to everything he said and then trying to create your own blog post or own thing that paraphrased and added your opinion in when sometimes it's not necessary.
Right. And I could not say it better than he said it.
Exactly.
I wish I had made that podcast. Like,
yeah,
I wish
right?
I was saying all of that.
Oh, I've been there. But sometimes all that's necessary is to have another authority endorse this piece.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to remember that episode of his, Why You Should Write a Book, was sent to me by you.
Right.
We don't associate. I think people worry too much that if they share other people's content, they won't be given credit as the authority.
Right.
But if you think about, there is an entire job in museums, art galleries that is dedicated to a curator. Someone whose job it is to go out and find beautiful pieces of artwork and sculptures and bring them into their gallery for the world to see. They're an artist in their own right, but they're not the creator. but they're the ones that curate this beautiful wall for you to look at, and we give them so much credit.
Yeah.
So why would it be any different with the content authorities?
Right.
Like, yeah, it takes a really special eye, especially when there's millions of pieces of content out in the world. It takes a really special eye to be able to, one, hunt for that kind of content, be on the right list so that you're getting all that right content, and then say, this is something that my following, my audience, my customers should see, and here's how I contextualize it for them so that they get the most out of it. And that's a really powerful thing that businesses can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a really underutilized strategy. And like Ryan Holiday does something sort of similar to this, which I always think is awesome. Once a month, he sends a book review email.
Yeah.
And so he just writes like a paragraph about every book that he's read in the last month. And he's one of the only newsletters I'm subscribed to that is not for the purpose of adding to my swipe file. It is just straight up because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love reading. And I know that he is like always curating these amazing lists. Some of the best books I've ever read have come from that list. And I always know which ones on my bookshelf have been his recommendations.
I need to get on that list.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And he is just a prolific reader, and he's a writer as well. And so I sort of think he has the eye for the kind of stuff that I want to see. And I think that's the value of being an authority in a space, is that you, being an expert, have the eye to identify content that your audience is going to benefit from. You're able to quickly, very quickly filter through all of the noise. Like when I'm looking for something to share, I'm like anything that's like a listicle or, something that's like thin content or it's been done before or whatever, like it's immediately filtered out because I've just seen so many different types of content, so much stuff being produced that when there's something that's actually really valuable, it just like is like a beacon to me. And Ryan Holiday's list is exactly the same thing, right? Like he reads so much, there's a lot of crappy books out there and he is obviously filtering through a lot of those. But I know that I can trust him to bring me stuff that is going to be awesome and that I'm going to get so much good value out of.
Yeah, it takes someone special for you to connect with and trust their recommendations and know that they're not going to steer you wrong. Ezra Firestone has his weekly newsletter, and he always starts it with a piece of content he's created. Ezra's another one who's doing this really well, and he does video. So Ezra goes to these events that he's speaking at, and he brings his team, and he'll bring in people and interview them. I know you've done a few, I've done a few. And so he'll ask you a series of questions and then take all of those people, cut them up. And if you ask 20 people 5 questions, you have 5 different videos or more, because you can then segment 5 people per video and have part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. And then he knows that the quickest way for people to consume this is through video. They get a bunch of opinions. It doesn't have to be super polished. And he sends that. But then at the bottom of his newsletter is a section called Content from Around the Web. And he has curated all of these pieces, case studies, listicles, info on algorithm changes. And it means so much to read these because he has vetted them. And so he knows if he's reading them and he's finding value from them enough that he wants to share them, I can trust that I'm going to click them and I'm going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
So I think people should leverage that a lot more in their business, especially when you're thinking in terms of email publishing in any way, whether it's an email, whether it's on social, whether it's on your site. You have to ask why. And especially when you're posting something and thinking about what kind of reaction you want your audience to take from it, you have to be thinking them, not me. And I think that's difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's not that they don't want to, it's just that they're thinking, what am I supposed to publish? What do I need to create? This and that, when they can instead change the question to be, what does my customer need right now? What does my prospect need right now? What am I missing? And then create that, whether go find it on the web, shoot a quick video. I think that is working for a lot of people too, is quick cell phone videos that are just selfies that are just talking to it. That is a really good, authentic way to create content.
Yeah.
For most of these people, if organic search is not your number one priority at the moment, which it absolutely, like, organic search definitely has its spot on the priority list. But right now, if you're looking to take the existing amount of people that you have and make them repeat buyers, loyal followers, or fans, focus your content on that area rather than constantly trying to bring more people in. Do more with what you have rather than going out and getting new. Because if you already have a group of people that have purchased from you or taken some action with you, they're still love them, but treat them as your guinea pigs. Figure out what works with them before you add new people in and have no plan on the back end.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So what about stuff for that kind of final stage of the customer journey? Like I think, yeah, you said sort of before, like once people have bought something, most businesses like, cool, job done. Like I don't need to provide content to them anymore because they're over the line. But there's this huge retention opportunity, right? To, like, if you're providing ongoing content to people, then you are going to increase your lifetime value. You're going to increase the likelihood that you get referrals, all of this kind of thing. So talk me through a little bit of how you think about like what types of content fit in that stage.
Yeah. In that stage, I think about community growing content because you want to give people a reason to connect with your brand besides your product. I said this at TNC, be more than a product. A brand that I love, I follow everything they do, and I think they are absolutely just killing the game, is FrameBridge. They are a custom framing company. You either upload your digital photos to them or send them things in the mail, and they mat and frame it, and it's all custom. You pick which frame you want, all of these things. And I remember their mottos, they can frame almost anything. And they are doing content and email and social so well. And what I love about what they're doing in this way of building community is that they're saying, we're framing memories, not photos.
Right.
And yeah, they're becoming more than a product. And what they're also doing is they share so much user-generated content. You can offer an incentive. So if someone shares, if you're an e-commerce company, you can offer someone a 10% discount on their next purchase if they send you an unboxing video.
Oh, cool.
If they show you how they're using your product. And then what I'm doing now that I really like, and stealing a little from FrameBridge, is this kind of community building content where you give a spotlight to your best customers. So Vin Featherstone, he is an amazing adventurous outdoorsman, and he's also an entrepreneur. And he has made it his purpose to integrate these two things very much in his life. And so what he's done with this brand, Code and Quill, is he's found a way to use this one notebook to run his business, even if he doesn't have his computer with him. So he keeps his process in a computer, but he also has simplified his process so much into just these notebook pages. So what we're doing with him is we're going to record a video that has him breaking down his 5-step method for doing XYZ. And we're going to share that in an email with all the buyers on Code and Quill, in a video, in a webinar, and teach them so that they can kind of learn from each other. You definitely want them to learn from each other and see what other people are doing, see how other people are using your product. And then what we'll do is write that up as an expose and email it to all the non-buyers.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so that they can read it at their own leisure. It's going to be packed with tons of cool photos of him out skiing, him camping, him scaling mountains. And it'll say, like, yeah, I bring this product everywhere with me. I use it to do all my work. Here's how you can use it too. So it'll kind of inspire both the buyers and the non-buyers. But for the buyers, it's doing double duty as building community with people who are like-minded, and it's also informing them how they could be using the product better.
Yeah, I love it. And you have to do so little to make such good content with that kind of thing. That's awesome. My neighbor has just started drumming, so Apologies if that's going on
I don't
in the
hear it.
background.
I don't hear it at all. I don't hear it, but that's great.
He practices frequently. It's always at a different time of the day. So
He's dedicated to his craft.
He's dedicated. We can make a lot of content about this drama.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool, interesting way of generating some content that doesn't require a lot from the business owner. And I think this is one thing, since I wrote Content That Converts in 2016, like, content has changed a lot in that time. And I think it's one of those things that people maybe expect to be static in a way that they don't expect other types of marketing to be static, just because most of it, again, is they're just focused on blogging, and, blogs are not going away, but it is really changing a lot. And so where at that time I was like, you do need to be really consistent and really regular, you want to be putting stuff out every week or every other week, like, and you need to be like really, really on it all the time. Now, I think it's much more effective to produce very high quality content less often, and to do a lot of that repurposing that we were talking about, rather than like burning yourself out trying to constantly put new stuff out. And also like
publishing.
Right. So you and I have talked about this quite a bit, is like, your old content is going to so much waste if you don't use it again, right? Like, if 2 years ago you wrote a great blog post and nobody that is coming to your site now is seeing it, it's just sitting there gathering dust. And all of those people are going to benefit from that old content, but you just have to let them know that it's there. So like, even if you don't update it, all you have to do is go back to your cache of old content and find all the best stuff, and like use that to kind of onboard your new people, right? Like, it doesn't have to be this constant slog of like producing stuff all the time. And it also doesn't have to be the same type of content all the time, right? Like, you can be doing video like this, you can be making a podcast, you could be doing a quarterly like big writing piece. Like, it doesn't all have to be the same. It's just all got to be tailored to what your audience is looking to learn from you, and like providing them as much value as possible in a way that is natural. There's been so much conversation about how advertising is becoming much more native. There's like that real focus on like getting away from super polished, branded, like perfect content, and just making it like interacting with your friends. If you want.
How funny is that though? Because I remember in 2013, all of the courses were coming out on native ads,
right?
And it was becoming so important to have native ads. And then we went through this stage where no, it has to be polished, illustrated, branded. And now we're going back to a place where people are tired of the branding, tired of this. They're scrolling past it. So now we're getting back to selfie videos and really natural content.
Yeah. And it's way easier to make. Like this is going to be awesome to share. And like, we're just doing this off the cuff. It's not like we strategized about this for months, but like, both of us are going to be able to put this to use because we have a good strategic overview, but the content itself, like you said, is just a vehicle.
Yes, it's just a vehicle. And as long as you're doing something that's relevant, like you said, to what they want to learn, you can do it. I had a thought when you said about building content that's not stressful on the business owner. Digital Marketer is doing this really well as an info product provider. Elvest as a service provider, and Wander Beauty as an e-commerce. All three of them are doing this really well, where they're putting the content creation stuff on the shoulders of their teammates.
Right.
And so Wander Beauty, what I love doing, seeing from them in their emails, is they're saying they're having different members of their team empty out their makeup bag, take pictures.
Cool.
Yes. Just dump out your makeup bag, take a picture of it, and then talk through what you use each product for. And the thing I love is that, a good amount of the stuff in the makeup bag is from Wander Beauty. But then there's other things, just like hand sanitizer, like Neutrogena face wipes. Like, you just get to know the company. And it's not about hawking the product. It's not about pitching to you. It's just, hey, we, one, eat our own dog food. We use this stuff. Two, we carry it around with us, get to know our routines, because if there's someone there, it's guaranteed that there's someone on their team with my same skin type, and that I'm going to relate to them. And then I love how Digital Marketer is interviewing their team in fun ways, like saying I think one of the videos I saw last was they all got together at a party and they recorded the different personalities you see on LinkedIn, and they embodied them. And it was so like Saturday Night Live skit funny. No one was trying very hard. And then Elvest, they are a service provider that does investing for women. And their founder, Sally Krawcheck, she does a ton of videos where they just take questions that have come in from their customer service and they ask her the questions on camera and saying like, what's the difference between a 401k and a SEP, and she answers them, and that's put all over social. Mm-hmm. I don't even think they put it on their site. She'll email it out, but that's the other cool thing is that when they email it out to everybody, and you click the link, you get taken to Instagram. It's not as important anymore to send people to your site, because here's the thing is if you have their email, you've already pixeled them. Mm. They're already on your list. Stop worrying about the click-through rate, keep them in the email if you can, and then stop worrying about getting them to your site because you want them to bounce around. When you're trying to do that, you're thinking about me, not them. Mm-hmm. But I love how they're also using their teammates. So everybody on their team is an account manager to different clients, which means that as a client, they have someone like me who's my own business owner, someone who is a mother of 5 and she wants to make sure her kids are taken care of if anything happens to her. They have someone who is a barista. They have so many different things, which means that anytime you look at who you're serving and who your customers are, that's an opportunity for content, because mm-hmm. all you have to do is tell their story. Right. And you're going to connect with somebody. And I would say that if somebody is of the mind that they absolutely need to create content, but they don't know what to create, they just know they should, tell your customer stories. There's a brand called Danison. They sell boutique toothpicks.
What?
So, yeah. My partner was just sent a bunch of them by the CEO because he did them a favor and helped out. And they come in the most beautiful glass vials with a cork in the top. Oh. And they're flavored toothpicks that come from really nice trees. And for every, you would like this, that for every set of toothpicks that's purchased, they plant another tree somewhere.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so he got single malt Scotch, I think that's the right one, single malt Scotch flavored toothpicks, cinnamon mint flavored toothpicks, and now he keeps walking around with the toothpicks in his mouth. But I was like, I got to see this brand. And I looked at their blog because they said they have one, and the last 10 posts are all customer stories. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes, you guys are doing the right thing, because you're selling not a commodity product. You are selling the weirdest thing, flavored fancy toothpicks. You need people to be able to relate with, to identify as someone who would be their customer, because otherwise it feels like a frivolous purchase.
Totally.
So yeah. So I love that they're doing that they're not trying to create all of these articles about why you need to carry a toothpick in your purse or the right way to chew on a toothpick. They're saying, these are our customers. They're really cool. We bet you're cool too.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. And I had a conversation with Ryan Dice actually last week, and we were talking about kind of like the stages of maturity across this industry. And, he was sort of talking about where digital marketing is going, where online marketing is going. And he was saying like, being able to, like, the promise of digital has always been that you can track everything, everything's measurable, it's predictable, everything can just be like measured down to the tiniest degree. But the stuff in the future, and that's happening already, like you're saying, is stuff that isn't numbers driven. Like the stuff that's working is about connecting with people. And so you sort of have to, like, doing all of the direct response stuff, like all of the tracking and measuring and everything, that's just table stakes. Like everybody is doing that. You have to be able to do it. But that's just the price of entry. Like the stuff that is going to get you really thriving in any niche as you know, this toothpick company is demonstrating, is like making it about the people, making it into something either really fun or really meaningful, or giving people some status to associate themselves with. Or, you know, there are so many brands that are really doing this so well at the moment, where the actual product is not that relevant. Like,
Yes.
it's not the product that people are buying, it's the association of the product. And like, we really saw this with the Nike campaign with Colin Kaepernick and Serena Williams and all of the athletes, right? Like, there was not a mention of a single product in that ad. It was a 2-minute, like, multi-million-dollar ad, and they did not mention a product once. All they did was like, these are people you want to be like. These are the people who have big dreams, and they're the people who never give up, and blah, blah, blah. And it's so much about seeing yourself in that vision, right? And you can't measure how somebody is going to, like, the feeling that someone is going to get, right? And so customer stories are so powerful, because it completely removes, like, don't I need this thing? Can I not justify buying this thing? Because if they identify themselves with those people, with that movement, with this idea, like, it's a foregone conclusion.
Yes, I love that. And I love that. I'm so happy that Ryan said that. He said something similar at TNC. And a prospect that came to one of my sessions, I had a call with him after TNC, and he parroted that back to me. And he said, yeah, Ryan Dice said, do the things that aren't scalable. And I was just like, yes, finally. I mean, I was like, we've all been saying this. I'm glad Ryan said it, and now y'all will listen. But yes. And here's the thing is, I am a bad direct response marketer, because I'm just bad at it. I don't mind saying that. I don't know what we call ourselves, because you and I are very similar in that we come from a land of books. We come from a land of a lot of words and feeling and literature. And so we like conversations. And I don't think that makes us a conversational marketer, because then we're getting into like Messenger and that kind of thing. But we're not the best at direct response marketing. We know that we can't put something up and measure it. We just I feel at least that with direct response, I've always struggled, because you're meant to put something up that tells someone to buy something. And I'm like, but wait, I still need to change their mind. I still need to tell them why. And now for people, like, guess what? For people who are not good at direct response, this is your moment. This is your time. This is our time. I am so excited that we are gravitating away from only doing things that are measurable by data, and only doing things that will have a direct ROI, and only doing things that are meant to take someone from this page to the checkout page. For people who have struggled there, like, this is your moment to really, you're going to shine. And I love that for so many marketers, because this is where we're going to get to see businesses and brands that really stand out because they care about the product and the person. And it's no longer going to be an era where the best marketer wins. It's really going to be about the best brand. And brands are not just made up about marketing strategy, because marketing strategy based on numbers is really, it's not easy to do. It's still a creative process, but it's much more cookie cutter. But when you take that out and you can get to a place where you're saying, either I am my customer avatar, I personally know my customer avatar, or I know what's upsetting, I know what they care about, you get to just lend your creative abilities to a marketing strategy that you can feel good about and not measure by whether or not it's sold. And I love that you use that example of the Nike campaign, because I remember when that came out and my news feed on my Facebook was so divided, and you could absolutely tell who the direct response marketers were. Because I remember one woman specifically, I won't name her, but that came out and she posted something saying, not one CTA to buy, not one mention of what Nike sells. How is anyone supposed to know what next step they should take? And I was just like, oh,
I want
honey.
to be like all of those athletes. I'm going to go and find a Nike store.
Yes. I was like, oh, honey, you are so a direct response marketer, but I'm not, because that ad was meant to provoke thought. not to inspire purchase.
Right.
It was I love that we're getting into a place where the best brands that are doing content marketing, whether it's through email, whether it's through now IGTV, whether it's through Facebook Live, these are people that are going to win because they provoke thought and they further the conversation and make themselves accessible and humanize themselves.
Yeah.
And really, really make their bones on what they believe in and what their products are made of and who their customers are, rather than advertising the benefits of buying and the pain points.
Totally. And I mean, you can, like, Nike has incredible, like, all of the automation, all of the tracking, all of that stuff is for sure running in the background.
Yes.
Like, it's not one or the other, it's both.
Yeah.
But like the way, like, they will have gotten so much traffic to their sites and channels through that ad. And all you have to do then is like pixel the people that come to your site, or, set up an email list, an opt-in, whatever. Like, they have definitely captured tons and tons of their audience by doing this campaign. But that is just because they've learned to play the game. They understand the table stakes. Like, they've got all of the technical stuff in place. They've got all of the direct response pieces in place. But now they understand that that's just no longer enough, and that the big wins are going to come from layering these big movement messages on top.
Yeah, because like you said, they just brought in think about the amount of new traffic they just brought in of all new people. But then on the other end of it, they've just solidified themselves in so many of their existing customers' hearts.
Right, exactly.
They gave existing customers a reason to be more loyal. They gave new customers a reason to switch, because everybody's wearing shoes.
Sorry.
And so they gave people a reason to switch, a reason to support, because now all of these people that saw this commercial, if it spoke to them in some way, they've said, okay, this is a brand I can get behind.
Yeah. And it's just another great example of content that's not a blog post. So
yes. And not written.
Not written. Awesome. Well, Lindsay, this has been super fun. Thank you for talking to me. I'm going to wrap it up here and let my drummer neighbor, really get into it.
Rock out.
But I am looking forward to doing this again. I will be hitting you up very soon to be a guest on our upcoming podcast, which we're going to be launching fairly soon. But yeah, thank you so much for chatting with me, and tell me, where can people get a little bit more of you?
My Instagram at Lindsay Marder. And then right now, if you go to lindsaymarder.com, it redirects, but that'll be coming soon.
Perfect. So. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.